So today we're going to be talking about multiplying monomials by monomials. So when we want to multiply two monomials, or a single term by a single term, we need to remember a few things. First of all, when we're using our algetiles, we need to complete the area that is outlined by the two terms. Now, for this, I'm going to explain it in a little bit once we see an example of that. So just hang on to the fact that we need to complete the area. Okay? But when we're multiplying without the use of algetiles, we must multiply all the factors. And again, I'll get into that once we get into an example. Okay? Just remember you need to multiply all the factors. So let's look at an example. We have a beautiful representation here of how we would multiply. So when we multiply with algetiles, we're going to set ourselves up a nice little T. And also there's special algetile maths that I can hand out to you tomorrow in class if you'd like. So we set up our beautiful little T, and on the outside of the T, these parts here, these are going to be our two multipliers. So out here we have 2x, and we're multiplying 2x by 1. So let's just set up our equation. 2x times, here is 1. All right. So now, let's talk a bit about completing the area. We see that we have a horizontal distance right here, and then we have a vertical distance right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to draw, and you can draw in your mind or you can physically draw, whatever works best for you, the rectangle that's created by this shape, okay? So we have this nice rectangle space here. Okay, so when we're multiplying, our goal is to fill this in with the best shapes possible, or whichever tiles are going to suit it best. So if we wanted to, we could go and we can try putting in a bunch of 1s, but we know that we can't fill up the length of x with 1s because we don't know what that length is. So the only thing we can do is put in 2 x tiles here. So that would be the length here and the length here. So this would be an x tile right here, and then we would have another x tile right here. All right, so I'm going to say and hazard a guess that 2x times 1 is going to be 2x because that's the area that I've completed. So let's look at a little bit more precise version of that. Oh, what a beautiful diagram. So we have our 2x over here and our 1 over here, and we've completed this area, like a nice little rectangle, to be 2x. So 2x times 1 is 2x. We know that 1 times anything is itself, so that works out really well. Just a side note, when you're talking about completing the area, you want to make sure that whatever area you're getting is either a rectangle or a square. If you're getting any other shape, you're doing something funky, and you need to come talk to me. Okay, so let's give another example. Here we have on this side an x, and on the top we have 2x. Okay, so we have x times 2x. There we go. All right, that's what we're multiplying, x times 2x. Now I'm going to complete this area, and I know I need to go a horizontal distance of 2x, and I need to go a vertical distance of x. So I've created my nice little rectangle. Now, let's look through. I'm going to say that I need to have the distance of x on both sides, and I need it twice. So this is actually going to be 2x squared tiles. Okay, if I were to look at these two beautiful x squared, right? So let's just check out to see what this looks like. And aha, that's what it is. We have an x and we have 2x, and 2x squared tiles fit in perfectly. So I know that x times 2x is equal to 2x squared. Okay? So let's look at another one. I'd like you to get out a piece of paper and copy this down. If you need a moment, you can pause the video now. Great. So let us quickly look at what we have on this side. I'd like you to write down what you think this multiplier is. Okay? If you said it's 2x, you are absolutely correct. Okay? Now, what's this multiplier? If you said it's going to be a negative 3x, you are bang on. Okay? So just remember, when we have the white tiles, it means they're negative. And if we have our green tiles, it means they're positive x's. Okay, so let's multiply this through. First thing we're going to do is complete our area. So finish up and make a beautiful rectangle. Sometimes you'll get a rectangle, sometimes you'll get a square. Okay, now what tiles can we put in this area that are going to be our answer or our product? Okay, I'd like you to think about that for a minute. Fill it in on your paper. If you need some time, pause the video now. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the equation we've got. We have 2x times negative 3x. Okay, so if you had that as your expression, that would be fantastic. And let's look at what tiles we should be putting in that area. So to fill in this nice rectangular area, I put in 6x squared tiles. But I had to think about it, right? We have a positive x squared, or positive 2x squared, and we have a negative 3x squared. A negative times a positive is always going to be negative. So I made sure that all of my x squared tiles were negative. So now we know that 2x times negative 3x is equal to negative 6x squared. Okay? Lastly, let's try an example where we don't use our algebra tiles, and we'll talk a little bit about multiplying the factors. So whenever we multiply our factors, or whenever we multiply our terms, we're going to look at which factors we multiply. So I always like to say the things that look kind of the same are the things that go together. Okay, so we need to multiply the negative 2 and the negative 8, right? They're both numbers as we know them. So we're going to multiply them first. Negative 2 and negative 8 is going to be positive 16. Okay, next thing I'm going to look at, my two next most common terms are the x's. Okay, these x's we need to multiply together, x times x. Now when we're multiplying, we add the exponents. We have an exponent of 1 on each, and that's going to give us an x, 1 plus 1, which is x squared. Okay, lastly we need to multiply this y, but we have nothing to multiply it by. Fortunately for us, we can say that there's an invisible 1 hanging out here because 1 times anything is itself. We can apply that principle still. Y times 1 is just going to give me y. Okay, so now we put this all together. We can say that it's 16x squared y. So negative 2x times negative 8xy gives me 16x squared y. Okay. So lastly, your job for tomorrow, I'd like you to create a multiplication expression using two monomials, and I'd like you to also find the product. Now you can do this either just straight through with using your expression, or if you'd prefer, you can use your algebra tiles, whatever you're most comfortable working with, okay? So that'll be your entrance slip for tomorrow. I'll see you in class.